I hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 2072, down memory lane. Yesterday we were down the rabbit hole. Today we're down memory lane, and we are on time today. Yay! So today I got to unpack. Oh, that's really cute. Sorry, I just got a message from somebody thanking me for a card I had sent them. I love getting. Makes you feel all warm and fuzzy. Anyway, so today I was clearing out some boxes. It's getting close and I've still got a lot of boxes to go through. So I'm trying to get some done during the day as well as keeping up with my work. And I came across a really cool photograph, which touches my heart so much and wells up a lot of feelings about it. But this photograph is 41 years old. It'll be 41 years old. Yeah, 41 years old this month. In fact, 41 years old on the 22nd of this month. So you're going to get to see that. And I also found this box. Notice what it says on it, magnets. And so with the thing with the magnet, it's not a light box. This box is actually pretty heavy for a box. I mean, you can see it's not that big. But what's the thing with magnets? So this has got a lot of magnets in. There is a lot of magnets sitting on my filing cabinets over here as well, which all tie in with what's in the box. And what I do with the reason I've got magnets is whenever I go traveling and I want to bring home mementos and things from where we've been, I'm like, well, what can I take home? So I always bring home magnets and postcards. I have hundreds and hundreds of postcards from all over the world. I even I was with an organization for a while called Soldiers Angels, where we actually got to write to military personnel who were overseas and that sort of stuff. Get to send them cards and gifts and some essentials, that sort of stuff. And you could either just do the letter writing or you could do the gifts as well. And so I actually sent one to a soldier in Kuwait. And I can't remember his name, but I have to find. But he actually sent me back a postcard from Kuwait, and I was sort of like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't have one from Kuwait," so I was super excited to receive that. So sometimes they would write back, sometimes they wouldn't. So you just send it off. You don't know if they got it, whether or not they received the cards or the letters and gifts that you sent them. Some of them would write back and say thank you very much for that, and so it was kind of cool. And it just felt like I was, letting them know, but, it's okay. We're back home here and hope you're doing well over there and keeping safe and blah, 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 blah. And they had parameters on what you could write about and what you couldn't write about. So those were very good guidelines to use. But wherever I go, I get fridge magnets and postcards. Those are the two things that I bring home with me wherever I go, whenever I'm on vacation. So with doing a lot of cruising, I think I've done, what have I done now? 20. Now, I know there's people out there who've done a lot more cruising than I have, but I didn't start cruising till 2009. And between 2009 and 2018, when I took my last cruise was cruise number 22 from 2009 until 2018. And there was a span in there where we weren't cruising at all because of Brad's health and then what happened afterwards. So I didn't get to cruises. We didn't get to cruise as much. But so from 2009 to 2018, so just in that 9-year span, I did 22 cruises. I was actually I sat down one day, and it was in 2011. I did 3 cruises over 6 weeks. So I was sort of like, wow. But that was pretty cool. So this box contains magnets from travels and other memories in there with that. I have ones over there. Let's see. I've got ones from Alaska. I've got some cruise ships on there because cruise ships actually, I'll show you some of the cruise ship magnets in a minute. Actually, let's just dive in. Let's just dive into this box. I mean, look at this. These are all magnets that are in there. We've got, of course, I've got to have my little Kiwi ones. Got to have my Kiwi. Yep. When I was this Disney? Oh, this was when I was on the Disney Wonder. I got that one then. This is from the Palazzo in, just hold them up here. Palazzo in Las Vegas when I was staying at the Palazzo. When I was staying at the Venetian, I was in the Palazzo building. So that was from that. Peppermill in Reno, went there for a weekend. Where I was actually with a group of speakers and we had our monthly conference there and we were up in one of the suites And it was actually really cool because it was a split level conference room type thing, because downstairs is where we had our lunch. It was it was put on by the hotel, put it on for us, and we had tables down there that we could sit at. So it was a big dining area. Upstairs was a massive conference table. It was a very long conference table. I can't remember how many people we could sit around this thing, but we were all at one end. And we probably took up about a quarter of the table. But it was a lot of fun. And then we got to do a tour of the hotel, which was the Pepper Mill. And we went into one of their theme rooms. It was a safari room, and they had like giraffes and rhinoceroses and, you know, all these wild animals in this thing. And they had this massive steam room. It was very interesting. They had some interesting theme rooms in there. That wasn't the one. No, it was a different one. But we had a great weekend there. And one of the things that impacted me the most on this trip, yes, I got to meet up with reacquaint with some friends. We had a great time in the steakhouse. So my friend Adrienne Ashley was the one who ran all of this. And so her, who was the other girl? Can't remember the other woman's name that was with us. And Brad and I, we all went to the steakhouse there at the Pepper Mill Reno for dinner that night. It was amazing. And that is where I learned about, I do have one here, yes, where I learned about these things. These are not peppermints. Now, I know all my family and friends back in New Zealand will know that these look like Oddfellows. We actually have peppermints called Oddfellows that look exactly like this. But this is actually a compressed towel. And the guy brought it out on this little silver tray. It was almost like a butter dish type of tray, but it was a silver tray. And he had 4 of these things on it and put it down. And somebody went to reach for them. And he says, no. He says, don't eat them. And he had this little silver like mini teapot. And he pours this hot water over these things. And these things they just blew up. And then we were able to have hot towels to wipe our hands from after our meal. And Adrienne thought that was, and she's like, I've got to get that on video. Can we get another one? And so he brought it over, a single one on a tray with a little pot of hot water. I mean, the waiter was awesome. And so she gets a video set up on her phone and videotapes him pouring the hot water on this thing and these things expanding out. She thought they were the greatest things. I have, ever since then, I didn't know about them. That was when I first learned about these compressed towels. It even, I don't know if you can see it on here, but it even says on there, I don't know if, oops, no, this isn't going to, but actually it actually says towel on here. And I don't have any, I really don't want to use my drinking water, but because I'll make a mess. I should have thought about it. Didn't think about that, but then I didn't know that this magnet was in there. So it brings back that memory. So after that, I always travel with these. I have a bunch of them in my car. I had a bunch of them in the RV. When there's a bunch of them in a side pocket of my handbag. Wherever I go, I have some of these with me. Whenever I'm traveling, if I'm hiking, especially if I'm on a plane, I have these with me as well, so that I can use them if need be. They are great in the car because, you know, if you stop and have takeout or whatever, and you got greasy fingers afterwards, what do? Grab one of these. And if I have my handbag with me, I also have my lemon oil with me. So I will put a drop of lemon oil on this along with the water. So I get the lemon water, and the lemon helps cut through the grease on your hands. Just a little side tip. So these compressed towels are awesome. And then today, the box I was entering that this it was a big box. This was a big box. The box that this magnet box was in, there was also another box that had packets, like a packet of 10 of these things in the packets, the individual packets. I totally forgot I had them. And I used to do care packets for some of my clients, depending on where they were going and stuff, where I would send them a packet of these things. It kind of looked like, do I still have it here? Hang on. I don't know if I still have my no jet lag on here. No, I think I put it somewhere. Oh, no, I do. Hang on. So this is my no jet lag. This one I think this one expired in 2021. So these came in a packet like something similar to this size, but of course a little thicker. And I actually still have packets of those left because I would actually send some to my travel clients for them as part of their thank you for booking with us trip thing. And they absolutely loved them. If they were going on international flights, I would also, if some of them were traveling internationally and things, I would also put a pack of these in there with them as well. And these are no jet lag. I think the boxes have changed a little bit, but these are a homeopathic remedy for jet lag. And I always use them on any flights that are going to be 3 hours or longer, where you're definitely going to be changing time zones, but it's specifically on international flights. So when I travel down to New Zealand, I take one 30 minutes before I get on the plane. I take one 30 minutes after I land, and then I take one every 4 hours in flight, which on the flight to New Zealand from LA, you're looking around 13 hours. So there's one every 3 hours. If I'm asleep and miss one, it doesn't matter. So no jet lag. These are awesome. But anyway, that wasn't in the thing. What were packets of these things. Anyway, and that's where I learned about them at the Peppermill Reno. Also at the Peppermill Reno, I heard a conversation that upset me a lot. It got me all emotional about when people put things off. And we were sitting outside the restaurant area for breakfast on the morning that we were leaving. So Brad and I sitting there talking, and directly across from us was one of those digital screens, and it was just scrolling through all these gorgeous, stunning photographs of different places around the world. And sitting next to us, just a further along on the bench seat where we were waiting, were 3 older people that were probably in their 70s and 80s, at a guess. And one of them was sitting on her walker, another one was in a wheelchair, another one had a cane. So, they had some mobility issues. And one of them was sitting there just sort of like with this lost expression on their face that at the time I couldn't really figure out what it was. But their conversation went something like, and I'm paraphrasing it, but this was the context of it. And they said, they were looking at the thing and they're going, oh, isn't that beautiful? And they're going, yeah, those are all the places I'm never going to get to visit. And I thought, that's a look of longing. These people wanted to go and visit these places, but had never taken the time. For whatever reason during their life, they never made the time or set the goal to go traveling. And that was sort of like, that I guess sparked, I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back, that sparked the idea of what my business is today, helping people live their best life now. You want to go on a vacation? Let's set the goal and go for it. If you want to get out and travel, is there something specific that you want to go and experience in life? What's stopping you right now to do it? Let's see if we can make it happen. And helping people find ways in which to live their best life now and get to do some of the things that they want to do, travel to these places that they want to travel to. Sarah Blakely's husband, Jesse, has this thing. He talks about it on one of his videos, which I think is absolutely brilliant. And the Japanese have a word for it, which I can't remember because I'm just thinking of this off the top of my head right now. And I should, had I thought about it earlier, I could have looked it up. But there's a Japanese word that is for a big out of your comfort zone adventure that you do once a year. So once a year, you do this big adventure that's out of your comfort zone. It could be something like running a marathon. It could be doing the cycling ride across the country or something, some massive out of your comfort zone adventure. And you do that once a year. Then he has a friend who every other month, so 6 times a year, does a small adventure. And his philosophy, and this way you're getting these adventures in, and the adventures could be anywhere from an overnight stay somewhere through to a week long. So these are the smaller adventures, and you do those every other month. And I was like, and I was listening to his video on this, and I thought that is such a brilliant idea. And then he says, look, I think he's 40. He says, no, if you're 40 and you live until you're 80, he says, now do the math. If you're doing one large out of your comfort zone adventure a year, there's 40 of those that you do between the age of 40 and the age of 80, if you live to be 80. He says, then out of that 40 years, you've also got 6 smaller adventures that you have done every year for 40 years. Do the math. How many adventures have you just done? And I looked at that and I went, oh my God, well, I'm coming up on 60 in a couple of years. And actually, the end of next year, I'll be 60 in December of next year. And if I live to be 80, I can get 20 years of these adventures in there. I was like thinking, that would be really cool, because my goal is to slide in at the end of my life and go, wow, what a ride. So that's what I'm now working towards. I'm starting to set goals for the next 20 years on these adventures. And as I go through them, I'm probably going to add on more at the end of those 20 adventures to keep going, because my goal is to live to be 100 at least. What the actual plan is for how long I'm supposed to be alive, I don't know. I don't care. I'm going to live to be 100, and I'm going to cram my years full of adventures. I'm going to do one adventure a year that will put me out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to do 6 smaller adventures, one every other month, just to do adventures so that I can go and do them and say, look, this is what I've done with my life. What an incredible way to live. Wish I could remember that Japanese term for that. So anyway, let's dive back into the box because I'm going to run out of time because I've got a really cool story to tell you. Dead Man Tell No Tales in Puerto Rico, the Pirate Society. That was on what cruise line were we on for that one? That was an Eastern Caribbean cruise that we did on, I can't remember. It was an Eastern Caribbean cruise. Got another New Zealand magnet. Always got to find my New Zealand stuff. I got that when I was home one time. This is the astrological clock in Prague. This is the coolest clock and has the most amazing story with it. And if I had my little notebook in here, I have a little notebook that's about this big, about this wide, that has my travel notes from the river cruise that we did. And I walk around with it and I'll just jot down little bullet points of information. But yeah, that's the astrological clock in Prague. It is really cool. And it was like a 3-minute walk from the hotel that we were staying in at the time when we were in Prague. And that was December of 2011. We boarded the day on my 45th birthday, and I met, and we were sitting at dinner. Oh, this is the coolest story. We were sitting at dinner that night on the cruise ship. So we had 2 nights in Prague first. Then they bussed us down to Nuremberg. We spent an late morning, early afternoon walking around Nuremberg. Then we got back on the bus, and they took us to the riverboat, and we got on, and our luggage had already been delivered to our rooms. That's what they were doing after they dropped us in downtown Nuremberg to visit the Christmas markets and what have you, just bum around, which is basically what we did. We went to this ice cream shop and got spaghetti and meatballs, all made of ice cream. It was the coolest thing. And we got a plate to share with us. It was the coolest thing. And so, yeah, so this is what we saw on our 2 days prior to going on the river cruise. But we're on the river cruise that night. It's my 45th birthday, and we're sitting with 2 other couples up in the captain's reception, which was really cool because as you walked in, the captain gave you a kiss on the cheek and handed you a rose for the women. The guys, he just shook their hands, and we all went and sat down, and we were sitting with these 2 other couples. There was Mo and Hank, and Susan, and begins with C. Susan and it's sitting right there. Susan and Kurt. And so we're sitting there talking, and they announced that dinner is ready, so we have to go down a level. And so Susan says, "Oh, do you mind if we all sit together and keep talking?" We're like, "Not a problem." So we went and found a 6-seater table for us. We all sat down on the table, and we're sitting there talking, and Brad's at the head of at one end of the table. I'm on his right. Mo's on his left, so she's sitting directly across. Her husband Hank's sitting next to her. Susan's on my right, and Kurt, her husband, is sitting facing Brad at the other end of the table. And so I knew it was my birthday. I knew something was going to happen because I specifically picked this cruise because it was my birthday. And they came out with this cake, this sheet cake about yay big, and it had a Roman firework candle going off, and I'm like looking at these low ceilings and all the fire things. I'm like, why are the fire things not going off? We later found out they actually turn off the fire sprinkler in the dining room during this time because the fireworks would probably set them off. And they have a Roman candle firework coming out of the middle, and they put it down in front of Mo. And I go, "Oh, is it your birthday?" And she goes, "Oh, yes, it's my 60th. And I'm like, "Oh, that's wonderful. What happened?" And we're all going happy birthday and all of that. I don't even say anything about it being my birthday. And then they come back with another birthday cake and put it in front of me. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, is it your birthday too?" And I said, "Yes, it's my 45th. And Susan's next to us. She goes, "What are the odds of us sitting with 2 ladies having their birthday today?" And then afterwards, the cruise manager, Chris, tells us that the maitre d' came and asked her, "Where are our birthday people sitting?" And she says, "You're not going to believe this, but they're sitting at the same table." I said, "Does that happen often?" She says, "Nope." But we had an awesome time on the cruise. It was awesome. And stayed in contact ever since. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, Norwegian Epic. That was one I went on its inaugural cruise sailing in December of 2000. No, hang on. Yeah, this was December of 2000. Hang on. This was one of the 3 that I did in 6 weeks. So there was this one that I went on. We did that one in November. And we did the Western Caribbean. So we went to Roatan in Honduras. And where else did we go? Belize. And can't remember where else we went on that one. Very cool. Very interesting ship. I have very mixed reviews about that one. But we were sitting at the table, and we'd asked to be, because they have anytime dining. So you go down there and they ask, do you want a table to yourselves? Do you want one to share? Blah, 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 blah. We said, we'd like to share, please, because it was just the two of us. And so we actually had our own two-seater table, but we were in a row where there was two-seaters, 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 all next to each other with a gap where you could walk in between. So you could have conversation just with yourselves, or you could talk with the people either side of you. On our right was an older woman with she was probably in her, I think she was in her 60s. She was a sweetheart. And she had met this young man, and they had the solo cabins. This was the first ship to come out with the solo cabins on it. And the solo cabins all open into this lounge area, which is only available for those in the solo cabins. And so I was curious about these. So I'm asking these two people, and he was in his 20s. And they met in the social hour that they had and decided to go and have dinner together. And so we're talking to them. I'm asking about the rooms that they were in and how they were and all that. And they're like, oh, they're fantastic. And, and they're telling me all about the solo cabins. And then the woman on our left was by herself. And if you looked out the dining room window at the back, we were just pulling out from the wharf. Like we had just pushed out sideways and we were just starting the forward motion because we're in Miami. So we're just pushed away from the wharf and we're just starting the forward motion to go out into the ocean. The woman sitting on our left hated with a passion the ship, the entire thing. She hated her cabin. She hated everything. And the cabins that they have were waved, and they had opposite waves and things like that. So the cabinets were waved, the bed was in, and it was waved. And her setup was so when Brad and I had a deluxe one. So when we walked in, there was a frosted glass window here. So the door opened this way. There's a frosted glass window here, and the toilet's the other side of this frosted glass window. Yes. Behind the door is a bathtub with a shower over top, which Brad absolutely loved because it meant that he was going to get some extra height on the shower head. Then we had, and then at the end of the toilet cubicle was the hand basin. Then we had the lounge area. So there was the couch there, and then the bed, and then the door to go out to the balcony. This woman in her cabin, she was the opposite. So she had the toilet with the shower behind it. She didn't have the deluxe. She had the regular one. So the shower's behind the door, then the hand basin, then the bed, and then the living room area. Well, she could not get her suitcase between the end of the bed and the cabinet. She had to drag it over top of the bed, which she was not happy about. So she hated the layout of the room, hated everything else about it, and was going down this list. And I'm like, how did you end up on this cruise ship? She said, my travel agent back home, now she was from New York and New Jersey, I can't remember, but her travel agent back home called her and said that Norwegian had a deal on airfares, $99 return to any of their ports so that you could go on their thing. And she says, and we've got this brand new ship, blah, 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 and spoke up the ship and da. Their travel agent, there's a reason you have agents and a reason you have professionals. And anybody can come and they will probably say, that's not true, blah, 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 blah. I actually did a video of this. It's on my YouTube channel that I did several years ago. And I did it based on research and experience about the difference between a travel professional and a travel agent. And an agent left this message underneath, left this comment, and I have never answered that comment. I thought it does not need a response at all. But this poor woman had an agent who was just concerned about getting her a $99 deal and putting on her on a ship that she was totally the wrong person to be on. Because every ship, all the ships have characters about them, have a personality. You have to match your client with the personality of the ship to make sure they have an incredible time on that cruise. This was totally the wrong ship for this woman to be on. And just talking with her, I knew that she shouldn't even be on any Norwegian ship because it was not. Her personality would not fit with the ideal client, the ideal passenger to be on a Norwegian ship. She was just the totally wrong person. She was more of a luxury line client. But so this is one of the ones I got from the Norwegian Epic. So that was that trip. It was a really cool trip. We got to meet monkeys on that one. This one goes with this one, Disneyland Resort. Really cool place to stay. We had fun at that one. Here's some more one. Royal Princess. I did an inaugural sailing on this one. It's got Royal Princess on there. These are really cool magnets because they're the shape of the ships, which is really cool. Royal Princess, we were on the inaugural 2-night sailing on this one, and I got to meet Gavin McLeod, who was Captain Stubing on the TV series The Love Boat. Got a picture taken with him, got him to sign a couple of books, and my parents have one copy of the book. I have the other copy. It was a really cool time. This is Celebrity Eclipse. We did a, it's even got the lawn club up top on these ships. So the Solstice class ships have a lawn club up the top. And then they have these really cool cabana areas that you can rent for up there and just enjoy the lawn and the open air and everything else. And they've got little sun thingies that come up, and really cool place. So we did a 2-night inaugural on that one. Mariner of the Seas. This is Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean's Mariner of the Seas. Anything that ends with of the seas is Royal Caribbean. So Mariner of the Seas, we did that in August of 2010. We had 21 of us on that ship. We had, out of that 21, we had a 70th birthday celebration. We had a, what was it? 70th, 60th, 2 50s, a 21st, a sweet 16, and a 13. All different milestone birthdays. There were 7 of them. And we had a great time on the ship. We just did out of LA down to Mexico and back again. It was awesome. We had a great time. Lost my mother-in-law on the trip. But it was fun. We had a great thing. But we found her. Let's see. This is from SeaWorld. There's lots in here. Okay, I'm going to have to do part 2. This is Nuremberg. This was a really cool story. You've got the castle there, and it was a phenomenal story that goes with this one, which I'm going to leave for another night because I really want to tell the other one. So I'm going to put these back in here for now. We didn't even get a quarter of the way through the box, just as an FYI. You can see I collect lots of magnets, but I like my magnets because I can put them on the refrigerators. And what was interesting is that I actually have magnets on my stainless steel fridge out in the kitchen. Yeah, so there's a very special photograph that I found today. And I'm actually going to share the screen because I actually scanned it today and put it into my Forever account. So I'm just going to bring it up really quick. And I want that one there. So this picture here, okay. So this, I'm going to go back over here again. This picture here this is my grandma. This is my dad's parents. So there's my grandparents. It's my grandma and my granddad. And the uniform I am wearing, I am 17 years old in this picture. This picture was taken on the 22nd of April, 1984. So 41 years ago. What is special there's a lot of special things about this picture, and it brings up a lot of memories. The uniform I am wearing is my grandmother's WAAF uniform, Women's Auxiliary Air Force uniform that she wore during World War II. The skirt fitted fine, the shirt fitted fine, the jacket fitted fine. The hat was too small for my head, as you can, that's really tiny up there. But she served during World War II in the Women's Auxiliary Air Force. My granddad, he served in the New Zealand Army during World War II. Both of them, their brothers, also served in World War II in the New Zealand Army as well. What is really cool about this picture is that it was taken on Easter Sunday of 1984, and we were up visiting them for the long weekend. So in New Zealand with the schools, at the time when I was attending school in New Zealand, we got Good Friday off, and we got Monday and Tuesday off as Easter Monday and Easter Tuesday. So we got a 5-day weekend. So we went up to Auckland to visit my grandparents, and in November of 1983, I had found out I had been accepted into the Air Force. I just didn't know when I was going on the recruit course boot camp for the Americans. I knew it. They told me I wasn't on the January intake. I could be on the May intake, or I could be on the one after that. So we're up there, 22nd of April. What we did not know is that when this photograph was taken, a week later, I would be on a bus. And so what happens is we got back home, and there was mail in the mailbox that had a bus ticket in there for me to be on the bus on the 29th of April on the Sunday. So a week after this picture was taken, my parents took me through to New Plymouth. Well, basically we had Monday, Tuesday off school. Wednesday was the 25th of April, which is Anzac Day in New Zealand. So we had no school that day. So I was back on Thursday and Friday. And basically I spent the 2 days doing all my sign-off stuff that you have to do when you're leaving school. Going around with my teachers, making sure that all my textbooks were returned, all of that sort of stuff, and saying goodbye to everybody. And any last minute things, that sort of stuff. And so, so I did that Thursday and Friday. Saturday, I packed up all my stuff. And on Sunday morning, we got up early and my parents took me through to New Plymouth to put me on the bus to go down to Wellington, where I would be staying for the night before flying across the Cook Strait to the RNZAF base Woodburn, where the General Service Training School, GSTS, was located. And so it was really cool because my brother, apparently, I don't remember this bit, but my mum always tells me, yeah, we had to bribe your brothers to get them out of bed and get them in the car, because I'm the oldest, so my younger two brothers did not want to go. And so my parents had to bribe them that they were going to take them to a restaurant for breakfast after they put me on the bus. So that was all when we got to the bus station, that's all. When can we go to breakfast? When can we go to breakfast? So apparently that's what the story is, according to my mother. I just remember getting on the bus and we stopped at Wanganui and I got to meet another guy. I got to meet a guy there. It's so funny. God, that's funny. So the guy I met there, fast forward years later to when I'm living in Los Angeles, and I've actually got a guy in our BNI group who is from New Zealand, and he is my personal trainer, and we're working out one day, and he mentioned about being in the Air Force and having a friend who was in the Air Force. And when he told me the guy's name, I described him to him, and he goes, yeah, that's him. And we were on the same recruit course together. He is the guy that I met in Wanganui on the way down. So I know, crazy story. So we got met at the train station, because that's where the bus depot was in Wellington, and by an RNZAF driver, and he took us to Shelley Bay first, where the guys got dropped off, and then he took us girls around to Worcester Bay, which is where the female barracks were. So we got to stay there the night. I shared a room with Leanne and Maria. And we were put on, and the next day we were taken to Wellington Airport, where the RNZAF had a hangar there that they used as a terminal for their flights in and out of Wellington. And we got put on an Andover, and it was the first time I'd ever flown backwards. We sat facing the rear of the plane, and it has a ramp that comes down at the end of the plane. That's how they got us on the plane, got us off the plane. And I remember when we got to, and it was just a short flight across the Cook Strait, and I think the flight was like 20 minutes, maybe 15. It was a very, very short flight. We get off the plane in Woodburn, and we're at the Blenheim Airport, and again, the Royal New Zealand Air Force backs up to the Blenheim Airport, and so that they share the runways and things. I'm not actually sure if the Air Force owns the airport area, or if Blenheim controls the airport area. I'm not exactly sure about how all that works, but the Air Force base is right there on the edge of the runway and stuff. And we're all milling around, and it's a little cool because it's May. We're heading into winter, opposite seasons. And so some of us are standing there with our hands in our pockets. The next thing we hear is this huge booming voice that says, "Get your hands out of your pockets!" And we're just sort of like, what the heck is going on? And then they finally got us all formed up, and we marched. Some people had no idea how to march, and so we were marched in a flight through the base, across from one end of the base to the other, across the main road, and the road there is one of the state highways, so one of the main thoroughfares, across this busy road. So we had to wait to make sure there's no traffic coming across the road to the General Service Training School. They put us into the rec room area until we all got sorted and put into our barracks and taken over to where we were going to be spending the next 13 weeks, where our bed space was going to be for the next 13 weeks. And it was pretty intense. And then, so that was on the Monday, April 30th. The next day we were taken over to this other building in the GSTS school thing, and we were taken into a room one by one, and we had to raise our right hand, and we were sworn into the Royal New Zealand Air Force. And that began my almost 6 years with the Royal New Zealand Air Force. So this picture brings up a lot of emotions because my grandfather passed away 2 years later. And my grandma, she passed away in 2002. And yeah, absolutely love my grandparents and totally miss them and everything else. And I always loved hearing, grandma always had stories about her time in the WAFs. And she was always off every year, at least once a year. She was off on some reunion that they were having somewhere with the other WAFs and all of that. I don't know if they still have reunions, if like the daughters or the granddaughters go along to these reunions anymore. I don't know. But then later on, one woman wrote a book about the WAFs and had people contribute stories, and my grandmother contributed one of the stories, and her book, and that book is on the bookcase behind me, behind the curtain there. And my grandmother had the author sign the book for me. So that was pretty cool. So that is my story with this photograph here that I found today. I've had electronic copies of it, but I actually found this is the original photograph that was taken on April 22nd, 1984. A lot of great memories about that weekend. And this just brings up a lot of stuff emotionally, especially when I do I've been working on the ancestry, I've been working on their tree, on that side of the tree to try and find this person who I found a DNA match, who has a DNA match with me. And I talked about it a couple of nights ago, yesterday, because I went down the rabbit hole with this one. So this person came up on my list as a new DNA match, and he is supposed to be a half-third cousin once removed, or a fourth cousin on my maternal side and my paternal side. That's the first time I have come across a DNA match in my DNA match where I've got somebody on both sides of the family. And so I know and because of the Pro Tools, I can actually compare my DNA matches with his DNA matches that we have in common. And one of them is his sister, so we kind of rule her out. One is, it says that she's on my paternal side, but I haven't made the connection with her yet. And then there's a guy on there who is actually on my maternal side. And I know exactly where he is because he's my third cousin. And so I know I found him very quickly in the family tree. He's my third cousin, which is a shared match with this one who is apparently on both sides of my tree. So that'll be kind of cool when I finally make that match and get to go edit the relationship and can put both. The only thing is, I'm not sure that if it's both, if he's the same cousin on one side as he is on the other, or is he a different cousin, whether he's on the maternal side or the paternal side. I haven't figured that one out yet, or how that gets recorded. So, but at least when I find him in the tree, I can put the tag on him to say that we do have a DNA match. And so I'm looking forward to doing that, and with his sister as well, because of course she has a shared DNA match with both of us. So anyway, that's it for us. That's my trips down memory lanes today when I was unpacking, when I was going through the boxes and things. And I've got a whole bunch of magnets on my filing cabinet over here. I've got all my Alaska ones are over there. And there's a few ship ones over there as well. So anyway, what have you found lately if you've been sorting through stuff? Spring clean, great time to get in and go through some stuff. What are you finding, and what's sending you on a trip down memory lane as you come across it while you spring clean? And with that, we are out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here. It's tomorrow, Friday. Yeah, tomorrow evening at 6 p.m.